Okay, I believe I am live. Check. Yep, I got a pulse. So, how's everybody doing out there? Uh, Thank you, Mark Caesar, for stopping by. Hmm. Well, unless they've changed the laws in Florida and made it legal. No, not yet. uh, a few, I suppose, a few announcements here. I haven't quite settled down a day to do this yet. So I'm still experimenting around, and so the days I do these live streams may still jump around. I know that Mondays, Wednesdays, and Sundays are out for sure. So if you guys have any suggestions as to any other days I could do this, Saturdays I'll reserve unless I have to, which I will be doing another one on Saturday soon. I hope. I could do one. I could do them on Fridays instead if this day doesn't work too well. And another idea I had was I could, instead of doing my uploads on Tuesdays, I could do live streams on Tuesdays and switch my upload day into a different day. So anybody listening there, they can give me suggestions on that, or if you're listening on the replay, just comment and then below. Yeah, get a few more people on here. Hello, Greg, Jordan. I'm hoping to get Bree from Hive Science in at some point and to do a live stream. That'll be on the weekend. And I'm shooting for the 18th for that, but we'll have to see how things go. And I think I just got my own notification. All right. So I guess first off, we'll go off with the hermaphrodite asparagus. Usually, asparagus is dioecious, which means it's split up into male and female, flowers, flowering plants. Though occasionally, in about in the commercial fields, you'll see about 0 to 2% and of the male plants will be hermaphroditic, or actually, andrononucleus. Basically, it'll produce these male flowers and perfect hermaphrodites. Let's see, pull up. You can see here, the top one is your male flower. Your one on the left here, there is a female flower with the ovary you developed. Then the one on the right here is the hermaphrodite flower. Yeah. The reason why we can get these hermaphrodites from time to time is most of the genus is actually the hermaphroditic. It's the asparagus that we tend to grow commercially is kind of the oddball in the family, being male and female. And when it in the first few stages of its life, it actually is a hermaphrodite flower, and then it just develops into a male or female later on, and with the losing either the stamen or in the male flowers, the ovaries will just stop developing. So that's probably why we end up occasionally with the hermaphrodite flower where the ovary doesn't stop developing and it just keeps growing. The interesting thing about that is what we can do with it. when you have two hermaphrodite males, you can get a YY, a male or super male, and this allows you to produce, and this allows you to produce all male, plant, hence hence by breeding the YY male with a female, which is usually desired for growers, since it's usually the male little asparagus that we get in the grocery stores and whatnot, and it reduces the chance of getting female, flowers. Yeah, that is interesting. I think they do that with a lot of the GMOs. They intentionally make them sterile, probably just so they can keep selling the seeds back to the commercial growers. I guess it's less expensive to have to keep buying the seeds over and over again than and to use all the pesticides and stuff that you would if you were using regular seeds. See, Uh, well, getting back to the asparagus actually has 13 stages of development, with the first five being in the hermaphroditic stages. So there's that. Let's see. Let's see. Did I miss anything on this topic? Uh, I think that's about all I got on that. All right. Guess moving on to the healthy pigments. Uh, the different in color or reds that and some of the blues and purples, and even some of the oranges that you see in flowers and fruits, it's aren't just pretty colors. They actually have some health benefits to them. The first of which, as you can see, the chemical makeup of them right here, are the carotenoids. These are the reds that you'd find in a few examples: those tomatoes, peppers, and watermelon. And they can provide a good source of dietary vitamin A. Now, some of the things that they can do is reduce the risk of muscular degeneration in a disease that can cause blindness is in the elderly. Uh, they can reduce prostate cancer and possibly prevent in, against liver tumorigenesis. That's malignant properties in normal cells. They can help protect from skin damage from UV light. So that's very important. Uh, Not sure how much you'd actually have to eat to actually get a decent health benefits. I imagine different plants would have different properties, and of course, if you get like a concentrated version of it, That'd probably be the best source. Uh, Next one is, I think that's the right one, the anthocyanins. These can be orange to red, pink, purple, and they can even be in blue flowers or in fruits. Uh, some examples of this include strawberries, grapes, eggplants, and your leafy plants like what you see with lettuce, this, and giant red mustard like I have growing in my own garden. They can provide effective of in inhibitors for multiple types of cancer, such as prostate cancer, or liver cancer, breast cancer, cervical cancer, or lung cancer, and metastatic melanoma. They have anti-inflammatory abilities, so they can help overcome uh, inflammation-related diseases. Is the They are looking into doing some dual use of anthocyanins. I imagine they'd be in a concentrated form, not what you'd just be eating it. uh, for anti-inflammatory medicine, or along with anti-inflammatory medicines, and as a new therapeutic approach to treating um, inflammation-related diseases. So that's something that we're currently looking into with this. They also who showed some correlation into helping with risks of diabetes. They can overcome the alterations to glucose and lipid metabolism. The study is with cell lines and animal models. Clinical trials in humans suggest that anthocyanins exhibit anti-diabetic properties. So that's rather interesting for its health benefits. All right. And our final one, again, we can see the chemical makeup. This one actually looks like it's most complex mixed chemical makeup to me, but I'm no chemist. These are the beta cyanins. They can be reddish to a violet color. These are the ones that you'd find in things like beets, cacti, and if you've seen my videos, I'm growing amaranth. That's that red that you see in the amaranth I've grown in my videos. The presence of hydroxyl groups makes them excellent electron donors and free radical scavengers, but helping with free radicals can help diseases such as cancer, diabetes, cardiovascular, and autoimmune disorders. So there's that. Investigation conducted in the effect of uh, one of them, Hylocereus paleranesis, if I'm not sure I'm even pronouncing that correctly. The fruit extracts against some foodborne pathogens. Okay, so it helps with some foodborne pathogens with this extract. It showed a low but broad antimicrobial spectrum, including in gram-positive and gram-negative bacterial and molds. So not that effective, but it was effective along a very broad spectrum. Uh, we'll get over here. Uh, any difference in the size of the sexes I mentioned, and with the asparagus? I'm not sure if the flowers are different sizes. I've actually never grown asparagus myself, but let's have a look. See if there's asparagus flowers. All right. Well, just a quick look. I'm not seeing too much of a difference in the sizes of the flowers. Ah, here's a picture we can use. Let's get this up here. There. So that's what the male and female, flowers look like. No, but yeah, actually, a lot of different into peppers will go and change color over time. In fact, if you ever had a banana pepper, they're fully ripe. It is actually the red color, usually. So what you buying in the store, or or is actually an unripe pepper. The same with like those green peppers when you buy them; those are actually just unripe red peppers. Or with the yellow peppers, like, again, that's just the intermediate stage of the bell pepper, or rather than being it fully ripened. And they do that a lot with the different vegetables in the grocery store, or they'll sell you stuff that isn't quite fully ripened to the point where it has a viable seed. That's why you usually can't take things like squash and whatnot, and take the seeds and grow them in your garden because the seeds just aren't developed yet. All right. Moving along. Yes. Any other questions or anything before I move forward? Mm, all right. Get this here. Doo-doo-doo. Oh, there. Okay. Where is? Oh, here we are. All right. Came across this Wikipedia page. And plant-based is digital data storage. Thought this was a bit interesting. Uh, with the help of two biotechnologists, they encoded a basic computer program in Python programming language into benth. This is a relative of the tobacco plant. The first is encoded a hello world computer program into the DNA code, synthesized it and clone the coded DNA into a plasmid vector to be used further for transformation into the benth plants. The encoded program is reconstructed from resulting seedlings. That's interesting. With 100% accuracy by showing hello world on the computer screen. So artificial encoded data can be stored and multiplied with plants without affecting their vigor and fertility. That's very interesting. How would you like to have a plant hard drive growing in your garden? Skipping over some of this stuff. 1 gigabyte of or 1 gram of DNA could store exabytes of data, and it is huge. Yeah, that's an understatement. Uh, Just kind of. Oh, and 2019, Harvard looked into estimating how much 1 gram of DNA could hold, and their number actually came up to 215 petabytes rather than exabytes. Uh, an earlier study in August 16th, 2012, published in the Journal of Science, they had 1 gram of DNA holding 455 exabytes of data. So that's quite a bit. To kind of put this a little bit into perspective, if you're having trouble imagining this, is 1 petabyte equals 1,000 terabytes, and 1 exabyte equals 1 million terabytes, roughly. To give a little bit more perspective on just how big and how dense you could store this information, and the entirety of the internet is estimated at 5 million terabytes. So that means on the upper scale, if it is around 455 exabytes of data for 1 gram of DNA, you could store the entirety of the internet 91 times over in 1 gram of this. On the lower end, you can think of it as a little USB thumb drive. You'd be able to take 23 of these thumb drives and store the entirety of the internet on them. So pretty big. And I'm just kind of guessing as to how many grams would be in one of these benth plants, but I was using the tobacco plant since it's a relative of the tobacco, and came up around 85 grams. So imagine that either the 215 petabytes per gram or 455 exabytes per gram thing, 85 times over for one plant. Now, just pull something up here. Where'd it go? I lost my. Oh, here it goes. Okay. pulling up my cliff notes here. the How they store it is basically you have the DNA, the nucleotides A, C, G, and T, and basically they code three of these these to represent your ones and zeros for your computer or data, and then they used to use an algorithm to read it and encode it. The downsides to using this kind of thing is it's really slow to code the stuff into DNA, and it's also really slow to read it. So I imagine it's probably even slower than your. So I imagine this is like even slower than your dial-up kind of thing. Yeah, doorknob head. Hello. We have 1 terabyte server in real. If I recall, and it serves stem measurement images in a production environment. It's been doing it for over a decade. It's Yeah, that is mind-boggling. Only if it's been encoded into the plant. Though I imagine once it's been dry, it's already been destroyed, seeing as the cells would be destroyed. Thus, the DNA would no longer be readable, really, I guess. So, and I imagine there's probably other limits as well. Well, seeing as you'd still need the DNA to code for the plant itself, so not the whole plant would be able to be used. So, well, take any reason you need. Yeah, see if I've got anything else here. I forget to move that to. Let's see, trying to find what I'm looking for next. I lost the link. All right. Link, where is the link? Where are you? Well, I'm looking for that. Wasn't really going to cover this today, but seeing as I can't find the other link, guess I'll go into this a little bit more in depth. I was actually maybe thinking about doing a dedicated video on this subject here, but get into it now. Basically, this is the effects of inorganic and organic fertilizers is on the microbes. A lot of people tend to think that that microbe that inorganic fertilizers can damage the microbes. And what this study shows is it can actually increase the number of microbes. So you can see you have the inorganic field on the right here shows higher levels of microbial or and fungal life than the control, which would be without any new fertilizer whatsoever. Now, compared to the organic one, which is in the middle here, your that one is actually higher still. The reasons probably for this is that the inorganic tends to be a lot denser, or so it releases a lot more all at once, rather than the organic will usually release much slower over time. So basically, it'd be one big meal all at once versus having a lot of meals also for a long period of time for the microorganisms. And another problem with one of the problems that you can run into that can actually kill your microorganisms, which is probably where you run into this problem, is that you can actually end up with too much of a good thing. And that can result in toxicity in the soil and getting into the groundwater and all that nasty stuff. And that can actually kill your microorganisms that way. But if you're being responsible in how you're applying stuff, yeah, it should be fine. There's no difference between a nitrate molecule that's synthesized and a nitrate molecule that's artificial. Uh, yes, smoking does smell terrible. I used to have to put up with my mother who was smoking, being in the car where I can't get away from her. Probably why I ended up with asthma later in life. Let's see if I can find that one I was looking for now. Let's see. Do-do-do. Uh, ah, no, that's not it. Well, I have no idea where this link went to. That I was going to cover. Crap. uh, read and huh. Ah, wait, I think I may have found it. Ah, yes, this is the article I was looking for. So, on the fertilizer thing, I'll be looking to. I want to get into that a little bit more or later on. There's a little bit more research I want to look into for that. Yes, the link link got lost in the ether. It buried itself in all the other links I have up here. So hopefully I can cover that because there's a lot of other er, information in forward again, and it's using fertilizers and and whatnot. And yeah, this is really another one I want to. Oh, I can suppose I can get into it a little bit here too on that topic, but on coffee grounds too. We can cover that a little bit. So on to this was interesting. Basically, what we found here are extreme soil conditions and a pH of 2 and 3. And they found a plant that actually grows in these conditions. This is a type of sedge. It's a perennial plant. It's kind of like a grass. Uh, it's a pain in the ass weed to get rid of in your garden. But to kind of give you an idea of just how acidic this thing's growing in around volcanoes, it's got a lot of sulfur. It's going to give you a very acidic soil. But 2 is basically where you'd find lemon juice and vinegar there for your pH, whereas a 3 would be around where it'd be orange juice or soda. So very acidic. If you can imagine trying to grow a plant in any of those things. Yes, that's exactly what happened. I was right in plain sight, and I still didn't see it. uh, your work has a plot in a community garden in the city park during spring, summer. They have the work coffee pot grounds saved. Yeah, yeah, you can use coffee grounds. I can get into that a little bit. I there's a few things I wanted to actually research a little bit more or into, but I can get into this a little bit. So just I thought this was a little of a interesting thing on the low pH study. The study suggests that the low pH is a critical abiotic stressor leading to the formation of extreme mephites in highly acidic sulfuric fields. Basically, it's leading to this thing in taking over where it usually can't. That's the species, Ingo I probably butchered that name. Displayed high tolerance to the toxicity, probably required prior to speciation. Huh. Gotta love succulents. In my backyard, I'll need to want to propagate them and just break off a bit. Yeah, they can be easily propagated. A lot of plants actually can be grown by just cuttings. My favorites recently has been the tomatoes. And I wish I did have a community garden in my area I could contribute to. That would be quite awesome. Unfortunately, the community garden I had in my area closed down during the pandemic, and they never showed back up again. And that was right when I was getting into gardening full time like this. We had the small pots of chickens and hens. Oh, that's pretty awesome. One of my goals is to turn my backyard garden into a mini food forest. Right. Let's see. Just a slight warning here. Apparently, there's been a big fad lately in. Hey, thank you. Pop up. Yes, I know I'm not even logged in over here on this. Apparently, there's been a big fad on TikTok doing coffee enemas, and as the doctor here is saying, so this coffee enema in TikTok is trending. Thought it would be a good to spill the beans on it. Yeah, what? Don't go putting coffee up your butt. It's, it's good idea not to do that. You can put coffee in your compost. You can put coffee sparingly into your worm bins, but yeah, you don't want to get into go putting coffee in your butt. According to this little study, 9 case reports that describe adverse events were identified and included within the analysis. Of these, 7 in recent ones reported uh, colitis, colitis is after self-administration. So yeah, you can kind of hurt yourself off by putting coffee up your butt. So yeah, there has been as for the use of coffee in the garden, there is some concerns about that. The first concern would be, is it going to acidify your soil? No. The coffee is acidic, but once you've used the coffee, that acidity is leached out and it's actually almost neutral, just below a 7 in pH. H. Uh, the use of coffee as a mulch. I don't think I would recommend doing it right away, but it does have actually some benefits. It's if you're going to let the field sit for about a year. Oh, let me turn that off. Yeah, thank you for being able to show up. So what they found with the coffee as a mulch is that the plant growth was stunted at first. However, after 12 months, they actually saw an increase in growth from the plants in the field. So, if you're preparing a plot and you're not going to be using it for a year, yeah, put down some coffee. But if you're going to be using it right away, or within in shorter time than that you might want to just put it in your compost and let it break down there. Probably the reason for this is that coffee actually breaks down you very slowly, even though it's ground up material. Some some are concerned about the effects has on worms. Well, I was actually he talking to somebody who's a little bit more of an expert on the, is asking a question on that, and they actually use coffee in their own vermicompost. That's where you have your compost bin with worms in it to get worm castings. And one study he on it actually has found, that vermicomposting with, the use of coffee grounds actually improved the quality of the compost that you get. Oh, another study he tested three different methods of composting coffee grounds, which all of them um, showed increased worm mortality with the coffee grounds. However, there's a bit of a caveat there, er, seeing as those tests in composting in the coffee grounds used all coffee grounds, which is not something you're going to be doing in your regular compost. So basically, it was like a pure coffee ground compost is what they used. And well, this has been a bit of a insight into some of the rabbit holes I go down when I'm researching for my videos. And see those little pop-up bubbles I put in throughout the videos. This is the stuff I come across most when I'm trying to look into putting those things together. And I'm kind of thinking maybe I should keep doing this and putting together your my live stream from these little rabbit holes I go down. So, what do you guys think? Uh, for- See, how's things going here with the side chat? Yes, my rabbit holes. Yeah, everything I just went over here is basically all my little rabbit holes I go down when I'm researching for my videos. Yeah, I definitely think I do need to do random tangents to fill time and talk to people. I'm sure I'll get better at this as I go. I mean, hey, this is my only sec. This is only my second attempt at doing this, so well. Well, I was considering calling it wormholes, but I think that name implies something else. Well, I suppose I'll open things up now. So if anybody wants to come in and chat, here's the link. Yes, I suppose this wormholes will be going and sending our worm castings to another galaxy. How's that sound? So yeah, the place I go, was the Urban and Worm Company. It was one of the place I was listening to on the getting some information on worms and the use of coffee grounds. So that's a good site to check out if you want to learn more about how doing worm cat castings and whatnot. I got the whole idea of the hermaphrodite asparagus from the live stream I was in Monday, with Gardner Scott. He mentioned he's growing asparagus, and oddly enough, the asparagus that he was growing, and some of it seemed to be reproducing. I'm willing to bet, even though all of it was male, so I'm willing to bet that some of it may have been in the hermaphrodite flower, or is coming up in that low percentage. Hello.
Hello.
So glad to see you're able to show up. Remember, you were saying you're busy, usually busy today.
Yeah, I didn't really think I'd be around at this hour, but didn't get to bed when I had expected to either, so just getting moving now.
Yeah, I didn't get to bed when I expected to myself. I was up until about 4 in the morning. I was on Amy Newman's stream last night.
I saw Amy Newman was live, and I was thinking that would not have been a good idea for me to get in there, as I should have already been asleep by then.
Yeah, I figured since I'll be talking evolution on another stream coming up, I might as well get a little practice in, since hers was on creation versus evolution. Kind of a little warm up there. Fortunately, didn't talk much about evolution.
Yeah, well, it's one of the things I'm kind of annoyed with the creationists about now. With my Tourette's now, Tiktaalik has become a tick. Just because we've gone over that so many times.
Well, thanks to Force Valkai, I was able to get my hands on a textbook to learn more about plant evolution, which I hope to dive into more and learn about, so I can contribute that information onto this channel at some point in the future.
Uh,
Oh.
yeah, I've, you know, tended to avoid any of the like direct online debates or that, but just wind up getting into it too often in the side chats alone.
Yeah, I tend to prefer discussion more than debate myself.
Yeah. Yeah, you were talking about the worm casings and that, and when I was with my ex, I kept a worm bin going in the basement.
Yeah, that's a pretty good
In
place
this
to put a
climate,
worm bin.
well, in this climate, we had to do it indoors. Otherwise, in the winter, they all froze and died.
Yeah. But yeah, a basement's a good place to put a worm bin, especially if you need to keep it heated. And all. Well, I suppose basements tend to be cooler, so you'd probably work a little bit more
Yeah, well, that
heating it.
was the
But
thing. Yep. Yeah, in the summer, the heat wasn't too good for them either, since the worm bin kind of generates its own heat anyway.
mm,
But it also made a good science project for the kids, so. They did seem to like the coffee grounds.
Yeah, yeah. The urban worm farm was telling me that the coffee grounds actually need to break down some first, and that being that they're slow to break down, you can actually end up with a bit of coffee grounds in your vermicompost, but you're not going to be able to notice it because it's so small. Well, anyway,
Yeah, coffee grounds and eggshells seem to be very popular with the worms.
I'd have to look into eggshells. That's a good another thing I'll have to take note of. Actually, I'll put that in my notes. That's for when I'm doing research on that subject.
Well, that was part of the thing as far as being the science project for the girls was, watching if we could determine how fast various things were breaking down in there.
Yeah,
So if you put whole eggshells in, they took a bit longer to break down. Of course, if you crushed them up, they go down faster.
yeah. Eggshells usually take a long time to break down, but there's a little bit of an experiment I want to try with eggshell that's coming up. But I might be grinding them in the food processor to try almost get them into a powder-like form for this test. I want to see how it will affect the pH of the soil. Because I came across one study that with a powderized eggshell, well, had an effect on the pH of the soil, but it didn't have an effect on the pH of the soil when the shells were more intact, which makes sense. I mean, eggshell is basically you know
Yeah, I always
carbonate.
assumed that they would be lowering the pH of the soil. Our backyard soil was pretty acidic there.
Um, it's basically just the same in carbonate that you get in lime is mostly what the eggshell is made up of. So I imagine it would have a similar effect if it's broken down into small enough particles to have an effect. That's an interesting little thing I'd like to try out though. See if just grinding it in my food
Yeah,
processor
Mark
will.
Caesar's asking if it's the Mark Caesar's asking if it's the calcium that the worms would be after. And I assume that's the case. That's pretty much, I think, the only thing they'd be getting from the eggshells.
Yeah, I imagine. And yeah, I imagine it'd be the calcium they'd be after. Though again, like they said, they'd probably want broken down into the soil to be able to use it. So I don't know how well the whole eggshell would actually do for them.
Yeah, I didn't do too well with the gardens. One of the things that I understand all the basic theory, but somehow when I try to put it together, I just didn't get it right. I did not get good results. Anything from my dad on from that.
Yeah. Well, there could be a
My
number
father
of
was a
reasons.
fantastic gardener. Yeah.
Yeah, there could be
Well,
a
like I
number of
say,
reasons
the
for that.
soil to start with wasn't good. Yeah.
There are a number of tricks you can do with that. You can actually use a raised bed. So you're not dealing with the native soil. Well, that's all crappy. You're
Yeah.
just dealing with the stuff that you've put there yourself. Or you can even just take a regular in-ground bed that's not a raised bed. Just just cover it over with a few inches of soil. Mm, that would work.
Okay, Doorknob Head is annoyed that we're not giving any time to his hypothesis that the worms are after the electrolytes.
I
Actually, in the backyard there, we had an 80-year-old cottonwood tree, and I think basically it had sucked everything useful out of all the soil on the property.
hmm, they are heavy feeders.
It was this huge tree. Hmm?
Yeah, the cotton is a heavy feeder.
Yeah, it was a huge tree. It took three of us holding hands to go around the trunk.
Wow, it is big.
Yeah. Eventually, the tree fell over and destroyed the house.
Oh. That's a shame.
Yeah, well, the tree was already half dead, and carpenter ants had been hollowing it out for some time.
Yeah. I imagine that's how my oak tree is going to end up going, except I think it's too low and too broad to really crash into my house. It's probably just gonna drop its limbs and then rot from the inside out, downward.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it went over when we had a really bad windstorm. But it was pretty much going to be a matter of time anyway. But my ex had an emotional attachment to it because her grandfather had planted the tree.
Yeah.
So even though we knew it was a hazard, she wasn't willing to do anything about it.
Yeah, I know that feeling. It's kind of how I feel about my oak tree. And this poor guy across the street from me, he planted this one tree from a little tiny seed and grew up to a full-size adult tree, and lightning struck it and split it right in two.
Oh.
So, very odd to see that happen, especially right across the street from me. So, not the first time I've seen lightning do weird things, though. The next street over, where I've actually seen lightning put a pothole in the road.
I've seen that happen. When I was growing up, it was right on our street that the lightning had struck a car and just arcing from the car down into the pavement and left a hole in the street. I'm assuming there was probably, something metal under it at that point.
Yeah, but quite possible there's some metal sitting on the street or under it, or that got buried, or wires or something. Oh, let's see here. Yeah. Anybody else want to come in? Yeah, yeah, it does kind of sound like something you'd see in the cartoon. Yeah. It's from the lightning.
Was a video I saw. I've actually seen it go around a couple of times online, but last time was about a month ago that a tree got struck from lightning and the tree was still standing, but you could see that there was a fire burning inside it. That just licks of the fire kept popping out a hole in the tree.
Oh, wow. Got burned from the inside out then, huh?
Yeah. Apparently the inside was dry enough, but the inner core was dry enough, but the outside was still wet enough that it didn't come through the outside.
bet that was probably from if it was like raining or something that would have got the outside wet. Might I'm guessing it was probably a dead tree if it was dry on the inside like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sammy is feeling neglected here again.
Oh no, poor neglected kitty.
Yeah, so we're doing the thing again. I'm trying to balance the keyboard on his back and try and give him little scritches behind the ears.
All right. Well, I hope my monotone diatribe has helped you get some rest.
Going back to sleep sounds like a good idea. I
Well,
wish I knew how to do that.
thank you for stopping by, hey Mark. I'm glad that I was able to start without having to just talk into the ether.
Yeah, I don't know how you even managed to monologue long enough to keep this going for an hour. I can't do that.
Well, I didn't quite make an hour this time either. I managed about 47 minutes.
Well, it
Getting
says
better.
you're over an hour now.
Yeah, I opened the chat up after about 47 minutes and you came in, so we've been talking for maybe about 20 minutes now.
Mm. Yeah, if I don't have somebody in there when I have to start a stream, I panic. I can't monologue at all. I never know what to talk about if I don't have somebody to bounce things off of.
Yeah, I'm basically gathering up a bunch of links and stuff as I go about things. I guess I still need some work on getting the length of time down. I'm guessing you missed the first part of this, right?
Yeah, it was. You were in more than a half an hour in when I came in.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mentioned you probably be jumping around on days to until I find the day that fits me the best. So I mentioned I won't be doing Mondays, Wednesdays, or Sundays for sure.
Yeah.
Saturdays are only if need be, and I mentioned I'll probably be doing another er, another stream soon with a guest star.
Yep. Yeah, you had mentioned that yesterday.
Yeah, I mentioned that on your channel yesterday. So what I'm considering is either keeping today, either or moving to Fridays, or another idea I had is changing my upload schedule and moving the live streams to Tuesday, and they'd all be around noonish around this time.
Yeah, either Tuesdays or Thursdays, I think, are pretty quiet days. Not a lot of other people doing anything online.
Yeah. So those are my thoughts on that. I might give one for Friday ago just to see how things go with that. But just a heads up for anybody watching that I'll be jumping around days until I find a stable day that really works for me.
Yeah, you're not going to start picking up an audience until you settle on a regular time.
Yeah.
People like to schedule things. They don't like when things jump around.
Yeah, I know. That's the reason why I'm giving the warning heads up ahead of time here. But for anybody listening on the replay, like I said, let me know in the comments what day you think would be best.
Well, Thursdays I'd be able to do occasionally. Tuesdays I'd probably almost never make it.
Okay, so
But
What do you think? What do you think about Fridays?
yeah, Friday would probably be kind of random too.
Hmm.
Although don't count on me because already got so much going on with all the various doctor's appointments and everything, and next week we get to find out Sloth Girl's new schedule. So
That can
yeah,
upend everything.
yeah, yeah. If they wind up deciding on a different day for her chemo, then I've got to restructure my whole schedule.
Keep me
Not that I'm
informed.
very good at having a schedule to begin with.
Yeah, you can keep me informed on that if you need to change your days.
Yeah. Well, I was also considering even for my Wednesday chat of possibly changing the time for that. But that's I've been waiting until I figured out what all of our schedules were before I make any decisions on that.
Yeah. Well, it looks like I'm gonna have to end this one a little bit early. I hear the chickens complaining about something.
Oh yeah, you better go check on them then.
Yeah. So if you have anything you want to plug your shows and stuff.
Well, yeah, I'll be doing my regular stream at 10 o'clock tonight, so about 10 hours from now.
Yeah, and I'll be on there with my other channel. I can be a little bit more opinionated on. So, thanks for coming.
Yep. Okay. See you all later.
Bye.
Bye bye.